always imagined my wedding day beginning with soft music, sunlight through my curtains, and the quiet kind of excitement that makes your chest feel warm. But instead, I woke up, walked to my closet, slid open the door, and felt the world tilt. My wedding dress, the dress I worked overtime for, cried over, dreamed about, was gone. Not misplaced, not borrowed, gone. All that remained was the empty hanger swinging slightly, like whoever took it had rushed out. For a full minute I just stood there, staring, my mind refusing to accept what my eyes were showing me. My throat tightened, my hands went cold, and all I could whisper was, "No, no, 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 not today." But somewhere inside me, in that tiny space between panic and numbness, I already knew who did it. My sister, Janelle. She'd smile in front of others, hug me in photos, pretend to be the perfect older sister, but behind closed doors, she'd always found a way to make every milestone about herself. Every birthday, every achievement, every celebration. She had a talent for turning moments that weren't hers into her own dramatic spotlight. But my wedding? I thought even she would never cross that line. I was wrong. I touched the empty hanger, and a part of me broke. I felt this heavy pain in my chest, the kind that doesn't just hurt, it humiliates. Because the truth wasn't just that my dress was gone. It was that my own sister wanted me ruined. I sank onto the bed, shaking, trying not to cry all my makeup off before the day even began. My phone buzzed over and over, texts from bridesmaids, the makeup artist, Ethan checking if I'd eaten breakfast. I couldn't answer any of them. Not yet. Not like this. Then anger hit. Sharp. Clean. Hot. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind that feels like steel forming in your spine. Because this wasn't a mistake. She didn't grab the wrong bag. She didn't accidentally move it. She stole it. On purpose. Knowing exactly what it would do to me. And for the first time in my life, I didn't want to be the quiet one. The forgiving one. The one who tries to understand. I reached for my phone with trembling fingers and scrolled to a contact I hadn't touched in a long time. The one woman my sister always went pale around. The only person who ever stood up to her. The one person who knew every lie, every stunt, every manipulative game Janelle had ever played. Aunt Marcia. My mother always said, "Don't involve her in family matters. She makes everything worse." No, she makes everything honest. And honesty is the one thing Janelle cannot survive. I hit call. "Amara?" Her voice answered, sharp but warm. "It's your wedding day. Why are you calling so early?" My voice cracked. "Aunt Marcia, she took my dress." Silence. Not confusion. Not disbelief. Just slow, simmering fury. "She what?" That was the moment I stopped crying. Her anger wasn't scary. It was stabilizing. Reminded me I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't weak. I told her everything, the empty hanger, the missing dress, the way I knew in my bones who did it. She didn't tell me to calm down. She didn't say, "It's still your day." She didn't scold me for involving her. Instead, she said the 8 words that changed the entire course of the day. "Stay where you are. I'm coming to get you." I exhaled long, shaky, relieved. Because for the first time since opening that closet, I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel powerless. I felt ready. And as I ended the call, one thought echoed through my mind. If my sister wanted a show, she was about to get one she'd never forget. My name is Amara Lewis. I'm 28 years old, and if there's one thing I've learned about family, it's that love doesn't erase jealousy. It hides it quietly until the right moment rips it open. Growing up, it was always obvious who the favorite was. Not openly. Not in a way my mother would ever admit, just in those small, sharp moments that children never forget. When Janelle wanted something, she got it. When I wanted something, I had to be understanding. If Janelle caused a scene, everyone tiptoed around her feelings. If I cried, I was being too sensitive. My mother, Veronica, didn't do it on purpose. She just enabled her. Janelle was the loud one, the dramatic one, the daughter who filled every room with chaos and got rewarded for it. I was the quiet one, the peacekeeper, so it was easier to let me bend than force my sister to behave. It wasn't until we were teenagers that I realized Janelle wasn't just dramatic. She was competitive in a way that felt personal. If I got a new dress, she borrowed it and never returned it. If I got praise from a teacher, she'd find a way to outshine me the next day. If a boy liked me, she'd suddenly decide she wanted him too. But the person who never let her get away with any of it was Aunt Marcia, my father's older sister. The only person in our family with a spine made of granite. Where everyone else saw Janelle as fiery, Marcia saw manipulation. Where others forgave her mood swings, Marcia called them what they were, tantrums. And every time Janelle tried to play victim in front of her, Aunt Marcia shut it down with one raised eyebrow. They avoided each other for years. Honestly, I think Janelle feared her not physically, but because Marcia could see straight through her. When I met Ethan, my fiancé, everything began to settle. He was the first person who made me feel genuinely chosen, genuinely safe. He loved my calmness. He loved the fact that I didn't fight for attention. He even joked that my quiet strength was the first thing he admired about me. But with every step closer to the wedding, Janelle got more intense, more controlling, more present in ways I didn't ask for. She criticized the venue. She rolled her eyes, and at the dress I chose. She asked why she wasn't the maid of honor. And when I didn't bend to her demands, the tension in her eyes told me exactly what she wanted, to reclaim the spotlight. So when I found my wedding dress missing that morning, I didn't need proof. My entire childhood was the proof. And I knew in my bones that this time she had gone too far. The morning of my wedding was supposed to feel magical, the kind of morning you imagine your whole life. Instead, it felt like being pushed underwater and trying not to drown. After calling Aunt Marcia, I forced myself to stay calm, even though my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. A small, desperate part of me still hoped there might be some logical explanation. Maybe my mom moved the dress. Maybe it fell. Maybe against every rational thought I was wrong about Janelle. But when she walked into my room minutes later, the truth hit me like a slap. She didn't come to check on me. She didn't ask why I sounded upset. She just leaned on my doorway with her arms crossed, wearing that faint smirk she tried to disguise as concern. "What's wrong?" she asked. But her voice had that sugary tone she used when she was enjoying something she wasn't supposed to. I swallowed hard. "My dress. It's missing." She blinked once. Then her lips curled so subtly I almost missed it. "Oh, really? Maybe you misplaced it?" I stared at her. "It was in my closet last night." She shrugged. "Things get moved. You stress too much." And there it was, the gaslighting. Classic Janelle. Whenever she did something cruel, she'd pretend I was imagining it. My heart pounded. "Janelle, did you touch my dress?" She widened her eyes, offended. "Why would you ask me that?" "Because you've been trying to take center stage since the day I got engaged." That's what I wanted to say. But instead I scanned her face. Her lipstick was fresh. Her hair was done. Her nails were perfect. And she was dressed not casually, but like she was ready for pictures. Something icy slid down my spine. She'd gotten up early, earlier than anyone else. Before I could confront her again, my mother appeared behind her, flustered and already anxious. "What is going on in here? Why are you raising your voices on Amara's wedding day?" "I'm not raising my voice," Janelle said calmly, acting like the hero. "I'm just trying to help her find her dress. She's accusing me of things again. Again, as if this was a habit, as if she hadn't spent her entire life sabotaging me in ways too subtle for anyone else to notice." I clenched my jaw. "Mom, the dress is gone." My mother pressed her hand to her forehead dramatically. "Oh, Amara, you must have misplaced it. You've been under so much stress with the wedding." I felt something inside me snap. "I didn't misplace it." Janelle stepped forward and placed a comforting hand on my mother's shoulder, as if she were the one being patient and gentle. "Mom, don't worry, I'll help her look." That tone, that fake sympathy, I wanted to scream. We searched together, but it was a show, a performance Janelle had mastered over the years. She opened drawers she knew it wouldn't fit in, looked under the bed like she expected to find it folded into a shoebox, even gasped dramatically once, pretending she'd found something, only to say, "Oops, never mind." Every second of it made me want to tear through the walls. Finally, I said it out loud. "Janelle, where is it?" She froze, just for a second, but long enough. Then she tilted her head. "You're being ridiculous." "No," I whispered. "I'm being honest." Her expression hardened for a split second before she plastered on a fake smile. "If you're so convinced I stole your precious dress, why don't you check the cameras?" My heart dropped. There were no cameras inside the bedrooms. She knew that. My mother gasped. "Janelle, don't talk like that." "Why not? She's accusing me of something so insane." She turned to me, lowering her voice. "On your wedding day, Amara? Really?" Pretending to be hurt. Pretending to be the victim. I wanted to throw something at her. Not because of the dress, but because she was good at this. Too good. My mother sighed dramatically. "We don't have time for this. Amara, call the boutique. Maybe they have a spare sample you can pick up." "A sample? On my wedding day?" Janelle smiled, tiny. Victorious, because that's exactly what she wanted. Me scrambling, desperate, humiliated. At that moment, something inside me went quiet. Not weak, not defeated. Just silent. Like all the noise in my head suddenly made space for clarity. She wanted chaos. She wanted tears. She wanted a meltdown she could gossip about later. Instead, I grabbed my phone. Not to call the boutique. Not to call my mother. But to call the one person who had never not once fallen for Janelle's act. Aunt Marcia. If Janelle thought she had won, she was about to learn the meaning of fear. Real fear. After Janelle left my room with that triumphant little smirk, the walls felt like they were squeezing in on me. My own home didn't feel like mine. My wedding day didn't feel like mine. And I felt like I was suffocating under a mix of panic and humiliation. But crying wasn't going to bring my dress back, and breaking down was exactly what she wanted. So I forced myself to stand, inhaled a shaky breath, and said out loud, even if only to myself, "I will not let her ruin this." I grabbed my phone again, checking for updates from anyone who could help. Ethan had texted twice. "Morning, love. Can't wait to see you. Everything okay? Haven't heard from you." I wanted to tell him what was happening, but part of me didn't want him to worry. Not yet. Not until I had a plan. Not until I knew how bad things actually were. My bridesmaids were buzzing the group chat with pictures of their hair and makeup. My makeup artist was on her way. The florist needed a confirmation. Everyone was moving in their own joyful, chaotic world, while mine was cracking quietly, piece by piece. I tried calling the boutique, even though I knew it was pointless. The manager picked up and said gently, "We don't have another dress in your size ready to go. I'm so sorry, sweetheart." I felt my throat closing again. No backup dress, no sample that fit, no time. So I got ready in the only thing I had left, simple white loungewear and a robe. I sat at my vanity, staring at my reflection. I didn't look like a bride. I looked like someone pretending to be calm while her life unraveled. My mom came into the room again, wringing her hands. "Sweetheart, maybe we can buy something? Something simple? Something white?" "A wedding dress isn't something you grab last minute from a mall," I said quietly. She sighed. "Then what do you expect us to do? Janelle didn't take it. You're just stressed." That sentence, that exact sentence, finally broke something in me. Not the dress, not the sabotage, but this refusal to hold Janelle accountable for anything. "I expect you to stop pretending she's innocent," I whispered. "I expect you to stand up for me for once." My mother opened her mouth to respond, but I was done. I didn't want excuses. I didn't want more silence. I didn't want her passive sympathy. I wanted action. So I picked up my phone again and texted the only person who had ever actually fought for me in this family. "Me, you're coming?" Aunt Marcia, already in the car. Those 4 words steadied me in ways nothing else could. While waiting for her, I tried to fix what I could. I curled my hair myself even though my hands trembled. I did light makeup, nothing heavy, just enough to look awake. I took slow breaths between each step, grounding myself so I wouldn't spiral. My mind raced through memories of every time Janelle had overshadowed me. The birthday where she announced her engagement to steal the attention, the graduation where she threw a burnout fit to redirect everyone's eyes, and the family dinner she stormed out of so people would comfort her instead of congratulating me. Every memory built a fire in my chest. A quiet fire. A focused fire. Maybe this was always going to happen. Maybe this was the moment I finally stopped shrinking to make space for her. Just when the panic started creeping back in, I heard a car door slam outside. Firm. Unapologetic. A second later, her voice echoed through the hallway. "Amara, where are you? Tell me what she did." Aunt Marcia had arrived, and suddenly, everything inside me straightened. This wasn't just about a stolen dress anymore. This was about years of being silenced, years of swallowing pain, years of pretending everything was fine. With Marcia by my side, I wouldn't just attend my wedding. I would reclaim it, piece by piece, moment by moment. And I would make sure that today was the last day my sister ever tried to take anything from me again. When I heard her footsteps sharp, sure, unbothered by the chaos she was walking into, it felt like oxygen finally entered the room. I hadn't even stepped out of my loungewear, but for the first time that morning, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel helpless. I felt supported. Aunt Marcia walked into my bedroom like a storm disguised as a woman. Her eyes scanned me once robe, bare shoulders, swollen eyes, and something fierce flashed behind her expression. What did she do? No soft voice, no over-sympathy, just pure protective heat. I swallowed hard. She took my dress. Marcia didn't gasp. She didn't doubt me. She didn't say, "Are you sure?" the way everyone else always did. She just let out a cold, controlled exhale. Of course she did. Those 3 words felt like justice. Someone finally saw what I had been seeing all my life. I told her everything, how I woke up to an empty hangar, how Janelle smirked through fake concern, how Mom kept making excuses like she always did. By the time I finished, Marcia's jaw was clenched so tightly I thought she might chip a tooth. She looked at my vanity mirror, then back at me. "Get ready." "I don't have a dress," I started. "Amara," she interrupted calmly, "you're still the bride. And your sister? She's about to find out what happens when she plays with fire." She walked out of the room with that purposeful stride that always made everyone in the family straighten up. A minute later, my mother's anxious voice carried down the hall. "Marcia, please don't start anything. This is Amara's day." "This became my business," Marcia replied sharply. "The moment your other daughter decided to make it hers." I almost smiled. While they argued downstairs, I dressed myself in the only white outfit I had left, a simple, clean slip dress I kept for emergencies. It wasn't a wedding gown, but with my hair curled and light makeup, I didn't look broken anymore. I looked steady. Ethan texted again. "Everything okay? Should I come early?" I typed back carefully. "It's complicated, but I'll be there." My stomach twisted. He deserved the truth. But he also deserved a bride who walked in with dignity, not panic. Minutes later, Marcia walked back into my room holding a garment bag I didn't recognize. "Where did you?" She held up a hand. "Later. First, put this on." I opened the bag and froze. It wasn't a wedding gown, but it was stunning. Elegant, minimalistic, a fitted ivory dress with delicate beading across the bodice. It wasn't the dress I lost, but it was a dress worthy of walking down any aisle. "I can't wear this. It must be expensive." She shook her head. "A friend owed me a favor. You deserve to marry the love of your life feeling beautiful." Tears stung my eyes, but this time they weren't from pain. I slipped into the dress, and for the first time that day, I looked like a bride again. Marcia stood behind me, adjusting the straps like a mother would. Her voice softened. "She's been doing this to you for years, Amara. Today is the last time." I nodded silently. Then she lifted her chin and said, "Let's go." Walking outside with her felt like stepping into my own power. The sunlight hit my dress, and the wind brushed my hair, and for the first time since dawn, I didn't feel like someone who had been wronged. I felt like someone who was done being underestimated. Marcia opened the car door for me, but before I got in, she placed a hand on my shoulder. "Don't be afraid," she said. "Fear is how she controls people. Today, we end that." I took a deep breath, not as a victim, not as a sister overshadowed, but as a woman ready to show up to her own life. And when we pulled up to the venue and stepped out of the car, the entire crowd turned. Their eyes widened. A hush washed over the entrance. Because standing beside me, strong, composed, and unmistakably unmovable, was the one woman Janelle feared more than anyone alive, and the real reckoning was just beginning. When Marcia and I stepped through the venue doors, the atmosphere shifted instantly. Conversations halted. Heads turned. Even the music seemed to lower itself, as if the room knew something explosive was about to happen. I wasn't wearing the dress I had chosen, but I wasn't walking in broken either. I was walking in with the woman who symbolized truth in a family full of excuses. And then I saw her, Janelle, standing near the front with a champagne glass in her hand, wearing a pale blush dress suspiciously similar to the shade of mine. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't smirk. She froze, because behind me, like a shadow she could never outrun, stood Aunt Marcia. Marcia stepped forward, slow and precise, like a lion approaching prey. "Where is it?" she asked. Janelle blinked rapidly. Where is what? False innocence. Fake outrage. The same performance she'd perfected her entire life. Marcia didn't blink. "The wedding dress you stole." The room gasped. Someone actually dropped their drink. My mother covered her mouth, horrified not at the theft, but at the fact that it was finally being said out loud. Janelle's face went red, then pale, then red again. "I didn't take anything. She's lying. Why would I?" "Because you're jealous," Marcia said calmly. "Because you can't stand the idea of your sister being celebrated for once. Because you've spent your whole life needing to be the center of attention, and today wasn't about you." Janelle's jaw trembled. "You can't talk to me like that." "I can," Marcia cut in, stepping closer, "and I will. You crossed a line, and you're going to fix it." Before Janelle could respond, Marcia lifted a folded white fabric from her bag and held it up. My breath caught. My original wedding dress. I almost collapsed. Janelle's eyes widened in horror. "You didn't. How did you?" Marcia narrowed her eyes. "You shouldn't hide things under your car seats, sweetheart. You're sloppy." The crowd erupted. Whispers. Gasps. Every secret Janelle thought she'd buried rose to the surface like smoke. I stepped forward. "Janelle, why? Why would you do this to me on my wedding day?" Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. She stuttered, blinked, looked around for someone to defend her. No one did, not even my mother. Ethan arrived from the garden aisle, panic in his eyes until he saw me, whole, stronger, radiant. He came straight to me, squeezing my hand like he never wanted to let go. "What's happening?" he whispered. "Truth," I said softly. "Finally." Janelle let out a shaky breath. "Fine. I took it. Are you happy now?" Her voice cracked not with anger but with shame. "No," I said gently. "I'm just done protecting you." She broke down crying, but for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel responsible for fixing her emotions. Not today. Marcia handed me the dress. "It's yours. Go get married." And something inside me steadied. I wasn't walking down the aisle as the sister always overshadowed. I was walking as a woman who finally took her power back. Ethan kissed my forehead, the music restarted, and as the doors opened for the ceremony, I stepped forward, in my real dress, with my real dignity, leaving Janelle to face the mirror she had avoided her entire life. When the ceremony finally began, something inside me settled in a way I'd never felt before. Not because everything was perfect, it wasn't. My morning had been chaos, tears, betrayal, and confrontation. But as I walked down the aisle in the dress I chose, holding Ethan's hand, surrounded by people who saw me, really saw me, I realized something. Today wasn't ruined. Today was reclaimed. Every step felt like shedding a layer of fear I didn't know I'd been carrying. Fear of conflict, fear of upsetting my family, fear of being too much, fear of taking up space. Ethan's eyes stayed on me the entire time, steady, warm, full of love. When we exchanged vows, I didn't tremble. I didn't choke up. I didn't think about the dress, the sabotage, or the drama. All I felt was gratitude. Gratitude that I didn't let someone else dictate what my life should look like. When the ceremony ended, people came up to me, cousins, relatives, even my mother, whispering apologies, confessions, awkward little truths they'd been too afraid to say out loud for years. I didn't know she could go that far. I always saw how she treated you. You didn't deserve that. We're proud of you. It was strange hearing validation now, after a lifetime of silence. But I didn't resent them. Not today. Sometimes people need to see the fire before they understand the smoke. My mom approached me last. Her eyes were red, not just from crying, but from realizing something was finally beyond her control. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have protected you more." I nodded gently. "I know, and I hope you will starting now." She squeezed my hand like she meant it. I hoped she did. As for Janelle, she stayed on the fringes of the reception, humiliated, small, avoiding every camera, every glance. For once in her life, she wasn't the center of anything. A part of me expected to feel satisfaction, victory, revenge, but I didn't. What I felt was release. For the first time, I understood that some relationships don't break in one day, they break slowly, over years. My sister and I had been crumbling long before she stole my dress. Today only revealed the truth we'd both been pretending not to see. Later that evening, as the music softened and guests drifted away, I stepped outside for a breath of cool air. The sky was clear. The lights from the venue glowed warmly behind me. And beside me, as steady as always, stood Ethan. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm more than okay," I said. "I'm free." He wrapped his arms around me gently. "Whatever happens with your family now, we'll handle it together." And for the first time in a long time, I believed that. Because today wasn't just about getting married. It was about choosing myself, standing up for myself, refusing to shrink anymore. My sister didn't ruin my wedding. She revealed who she was and who I no longer needed to be afraid of. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had a moment where someone's betrayal forced you to become stronger than you ever imagined? What did it teach you about your worth?